Composure is important. I personally value that very highly when I work for someone who isn't chaotic. They're not all over the place, bouncing around. They've taken the extra amount of time to prepare and be ready for a meeting, for their day, for their week. Maybe it's just me, but I actually really enjoy working for those people, working for people that no matter what's going on in the world, you look at them and you feel like they have it under control.
Hi, I'm Nick Warner. As a dad, a lucky husband, and as a business coach, I value people and relationships above all else. But next is winning, sustainability, and healthy culture. I've been a business owner for 25 years and served for decades as a special advisor to business and government leaders at all levels. Let's just say I've seen some stuff. My passion and my expertise are helping motivated professionals and businesses find the highest level confluence of what they want in life and business. This is what it feels like to be together at the top. Thank you to our sponsors, the law firm of Scholes, Brick & Rogaski, Kathy Olson at Chips and Trips, and Three Bridges Consulting. Welcome back to Together at the Top, July 2026 edition. Today we're revisiting the popular Nick Notes series where I share some of the interesting things I hear as a business coach, the scenarios and patterns, the elevated executive phraseology, and the reminders I get that things like being on time and working hard still matter. I keep a Nick Notes folder on my desk so I can capture the things that catch my attention. I love to learn, and I welcome those who are interested to do so along with me. This Nick Notes is particularly fun because we have Police Chief Rustin with us from the city of Rocklin here in Northern California. I was working on the show notes late last week, and I started geeking out about how fun it would be to do this episode with Rustin as my sidekick. So I called him, and he said yes. I want to tell you why I asked you, Rustin. I actually took this out, but I want to tell you why I asked you. Is that okay?
Please do.
Because you seek input on your performance, because your day-to-day consistency, because the way you promote your team when you talk about them, the way you root for others around you, and your humility as a top leader. I noticed that top performers and leaders come to you for confidential guidance behind the scenes, even though you're often still the youngest. I'm one of those people who come to you for input and guidance, and I find I really want you to be proud of me also. I'm drawn to humble, successful leaders and the organizations they run, and I like to explain my why, and that's why I asked you. I've also had my eye on you as a future colleague in the top coaching ranks. I think you're really good at leading others, but also at teaching others how to be effective. Rustin, good morning and welcome to Together at the Top. Say hello to our listeners.
Wow. Well, hello there. That's a pretty kind intro, Nick. And I don't know if I can meet that standard, but I do appreciate, and I want you to understand also, it's a two-way street. The reason I think you and I hit it off is because we share this passion, and I've certainly learned as much from you as you have from me. So thank you for having me this morning.
I appreciate that. I actually emailed that to a sales leader this morning. We learn from each other, is your point. We learn from each other, and I appreciate that very much. How you feeling this morning about your day and your week?
I'm feeling good. I get to hang out with you. I get to rush out and welcome in a new crew of Junior Police Academy cadets out there that we're hosting today. It's a good gig here in Rocklin.
I love it. I love my job so much. I guess unlike you, maybe a little bit like you as a police chief, my only job is to help and to partner with you in your success. I get to be involved in people's lives in confidential coaching sessions that really allow them to share, and that often includes helping them through stress, family pressures, and all that comes with their advanced professional development. We normally meet once a month on Zoom in a one-on-one session, and then I'll come on site to workshop with the team once a quarter or so. Sometimes the CEO or leader participates, and sometimes they leave the team alone with me to pair my outside voice with their inside leadership voice. One of the things I've learned in the last 5 years, Rustin, is that smart companies and organizations do regular team building, and they invest heavy in their professional development, especially their all-stars and emerging leaders. I've been so pleasantly surprised by the way these smart leaders and organizations do invest in coaching and development. It's heartening and impressive to me at these high levels to see the training and humility of trying to get better and valuing outside voice and expertise. Rustin, how do you think about professional development coaching, and what would you tell leaders, public or private, about investing in professional development?
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan. It's one of those things where, you don't know what you don't know. And so even if you have a great organization, you feel like it's a good culture. I love having somebody come in with that independent kind of third-party perspective. And so whether it's org assessments or whether it's leadership coaching or whether it's any opportunity to get somebody to come in and kind of just get a good sense of your organization, have some discussions, make some recommendations. Same way with coaching, and come in and go, hey, this, maybe there's something blocking the communication between you and one of your employees. And again, you don't know what you don't know. So having someone come in that you trust, I think is a way to make sure that you never become stale and you're always progressing.
I've seen you do coaching initiatives to help other organizations in the region, also in the city of Rocklin. I observe you're very, very good at it, and I don't give that away easily. And I've told you I think you'd be an excellent business coach after law enforcement. You have strong coaching and teaching instincts and talents. But the thing that jumps off the page at me that I wanted to ask you about is you're constantly seeking input and criticism, down to 360 reviews for your performance. Why do you do that? Why do you think that way? And frankly, why do you act that way in terms of asking for the input the way you do?
Yeah, I think you come to a point in your professional career, and Nick, you and I actually talked about this one point. I don't know if you remember, but I think a lot of executives or leaders come to a point where they truly and genuinely want to hear from others on how to make the organization better. And you come to a point where you go, I'm confident in my abilities, and I'm looking for somebody to come in and make some recommendations. And I might agree with those recommendations. I might say, hey, you know what? I hear what you're saying. However, I actually disagree, and I'm going to keep doing it this way. And this is why. Either way, as long as the dialogue is there, as long as you're getting the feedback, you get to pick and choose what you agree with, what you're going to implement, and because you get a good return on your investment, and how you want to move forward in the organization.
Putting you on the spot a little bit, but I guess anytime you say yes to a microphone and a recording, you're putting yourself on the spot. But can you think of an example where you got something through 360-degree review or some organized process, and either a consultant or one of your employees told you something you didn't agree with, and then maybe something you did agree with that you were maybe blurry or blind to?
I think that, there's feedback that I've received over things like, standards are too high, or wants everyone to do certain ways, and consistency. I'm kind of trying to continue to move the organization in that direction. It doesn't mean that I want everyone exactly the same every time, but I think there was a feeling that that's what we were looking for. And so I just needed to get out there and make sure that the communication was where I needed it to be, and people understood what it was I was trying to strive for. As far as the things I've been blind to is, I know it's been brought to my attention in a 360 a time or two that there was a unit or two. I make a point to make it around the department, whether it's briefings or stop into dispatch or records. But sometimes you miss a few, and that's happened to me before, where it's like, hey, the volunteers haven't seen you in a while, and you're like, you're absolutely right. Now, let me go ahead and put something on the calendar, or see when I have a break so I can make it over there and check in. And those are the types of things that feedback's important to bring to your attention.
Yeah, appreciate that. So I'm going to go back to working with a group. When I'm working with a group, one of the first things I want to establish is a social contract and a baseline agreement for what it means to be a high-performing leadership team. Because normally I'm coming in usually through the executive, and they say things like, I'd like my executive team or my leadership team to be a world-class unit without me, or not to rely on me so much. That's an example. Sometimes the CEO sits in, sometimes they don't. But when I'm looking for that baseline, here's what I'm looking for. Here's where I'm going to start. And I'd love to get your comment, and I'm going to ask you for your comment at the end. These are the 6 characteristics that all high-performing leadership teams have in common, by Nick Warner. Number 1, titles don't matter in the leadership team meeting. It does not matter where the great idea or great criticism comes from. Number 2, everyone speaks freely. Failure to do so is an abdication of your responsibility. Number 3, once a decision is made, it's our decision, and we own it as a group, even if it was a controversial decision and you did not win. That's a really tough one, by the way, because people walk out of your conference room butthurt. Decisions are communicated and implemented externally with complete fidelity. If you cannot do so physically or mentally as a leader, bring it back to the group because you're not done yet. Number 5, Nick's rule of 3 means monitoring your hallway chatter and small group text questioning decisions. If that's what's happening, it's fine, but bring it back to the group for discussion. If there's too much hallway chatter, that's a problem. No hallway shit talking goes with that. Number 6, the leader says, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. That is not helpful at the top leader level, in my opinion. It simply stops your best people from bringing you their hardest problems. Unless your top people are lazy or stupid, what they're trying to tell you is they need your help. They're having trouble solving their toughest problems. Don't shut that discussion down and don't send them away. Your best leaders need your help sometime is number 6. So once we reach agreement on these essential elements of high-performing leadership teams, That agreement's our concrete, Rustin. That's our baseline. That's what I'll hold you to, and that's what you'll hold your colleagues and yourself accountable to, those principles. We have an agreement. Thoughts?
Man, there's a lot of good stuff in there. There's a lot of good stuff in there. I have them listed here, and I'll just kind of scan over them. In the police department, obviously, we're a paramilitary organization, and I think as an industry, we have been really focused on working up the chain of command, down the chain of command. Everyone wears their rank on their uniform, and for good reason. I think that's helpful. However, in the context to which you're speaking, which is when meetings come together, when you have your leadership team come together, I could not agree more. I tell my team that if you're not willing to speak up, if you're just going to sit here and agree with me, then we don't need to have meetings. They're going to be useless. My expectation is that you're going to not do it in a way that's abrasive or creates controversy. I want you to maintain your professionalism throughout the meetings. However, I want it to be a culture where that's just our dynamic, where you hear something and instead of just nodding your head, you go, have you thought about this? Or is there a chance it could land here? So I absolutely agree that that's something that's essential for a cohesive and high-performing team. And that one kind of ties into everyone speaks freely. It's sharing that information. It's soliciting feedback, soliciting input, getting people to chime in. If you can create a dynamic for your staff meetings or for leadership meetings to where that's just the expectation, people know that they're supposed to be engaged, that they're supposed to be showing up in a way where they're challenged and have respectful dialogue, then I think that you're in a good spot. Owning decisions as a group is also extremely important. In a perfect world, you're going to get to this culture where that's just an expectation, the status quo. People know that. That's not always the case, and it can take some time to get there. The important thing there to me is just explaining the value in that. I don't want you to agree with what I'm saying publicly just because I'm ordering you to. I want you to understand the value in a cohesive leadership team that's going the same direction. And I've seen people do this really well over the years. I'm sure you have, and I've seen others. And I like to throw comments in there like, when I'm challenged, when I was coming up the ranks and someone's like, why would the boss, why would the chief want to do this or the sheriff want to do this? And it's good to have a few things in your back pocket where you go, hey, I don't know the specifics on the topic that you're discussing. However, I do know that through my discussions with that individual over time, they've earned my trust. So my bet is that there's a reason that we're making this decision right now and until that trust is lost. And so I like to throw kind of one-liners like that out. And same thing, monitoring chatter. And then bringing problems without solutions is an interesting one because there's some pride involved with that, right? Getting people to feel comfortable coming up and saying, hey, I don't have an answer to this and I need you. I think if you can achieve that, it really speaks to the health of the organization. When an employee can come to their boss and be open and go, hey, I could really use your input on this one. You gave me the expectation. I'm torn on a few different ways to go. Can I bounce it off you? Man, that's reflective of a really healthy relationship, but an overall healthy organization because they're not worried about, if I ask this question, I'm going to look stupid or I might not get promoted the next go around, or none of that is part of the equation. They're just going, how can I help accomplish the mission? And reaching out to my boss is the way to do it. So.
Yeah, and that can be abused. To me, that one requires some explanation. And I really appreciate what you said as the leader, because you're open to people coming to you and asking for help. This is where I've seen it break down. It used to be Nick's rule of 5. Now it's Nick's rule of 6. And I've only seen this a couple times, but it's no good. It's the top boss. And it doesn't matter if it's private sector or public. It doesn't matter what kind of agency or organization it is. Says, hey, I asked you for solutions. Why are you back here without solutions? Beat it. I don't appreciate this. I've been telling you for 2 freaking years to solve this problem. And my question is, hey, boss, this person that just came to see you is on your leadership team, right? Yeah. Are they pretty good? Yeah. Are they lazy? No. Stupid? No. Do they hate you? No. They love me. They're totally loyal. They're asking you for help, boss, and you're sending them away. These are your best and brightest. So I'm not suggesting, nor are you, that we answer every question that our subordinates have. That doesn't help them grow at all. But there's a time and a place where your best people bring you problems and you say, don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. Beat it. Wrong answer. I don't like that at all.
No, I completely agree. I completely agree. I think that as leaders, we should be looking forward to those opportunities when someone comes to you. Now, I mean, there's a balance in there, right? Like if this is a reoccurring theme, and that's kind of what I think you were alluding to at the beginning, where I'm not here to do your job, but I am here to sit down and collaborate on the one-offs here and there where someone has maybe a question about clarity, what my expectations are, what are we really trying to accomplish here? Or even if the expectation's known and we just need to collaborate a little bit. I take that as a sign of I'm proud when that happens.
Yeah, they're coming to you asking for your best intellectual property. Hey, I read this article in the Wall Street Journal. I'm gonna stay on this team building topic with you just because it's you. I read this article this week in the Wall Street Journal. I went back to look at the title, but it doesn't really matter. It was something like about team building. Do this stuff kids like. It was talking about team building should involve escape rooms, pink sticky notes, singing in face paint. I reject that. I summarily reject that. If you want to have fun, just go have fun. If you want to build a team for higher function at work, then then train for the game you're playing, which is better human communication, often in high leverage situations. I'm anti-kid stuff, anti-pink sticky note and face paint for team building. I want to go straight at it, and I want to train for what we do every day. Trust in communication, especially when it's hard.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the purpose, the goal with a lot of that stuff is because sometimes it's the relationships that are lacking in organizations, and this is the attempt to bring everyone together. I haven't seen those to be, all that effective. If the organization's healthy, then the escape room will be great. However, it probably wasn't needed. If the organization has those personality conflicts, then the escape room's not going to help. And that the relationships are extremely important, and we do need to work on that. But the worst thing in the world is to go into one of those team building workshops and then walk away with nothing productive. That's the thing that is going to.
I just signed a national sales organization that approached me. They want me to facilitate a 2-day Sacramento team build. They're actually from Kentucky, which is kind of cool. They're sales leaders here. But man, the agenda they gave me to start, I was like, I don't, not only am I not going to do this, but can I please talk to you about this? This is not going to get you where you're trying to go. They were super receptive, and we've now taken a much more kind of nuts and bolts. But I like your point. If your organization's healthy, go have fun. It's embedded in my point. If you want to go have fun, go have fun. Go to the game, go to the escape room, paint your freaking faces and sing all day if you want. But what I'm dealing with is trust in communications. Sometimes it's bad. A lot of times it's good, where we just want to get better. We want to go from a 7 to a 10. But I'm resisting the urge, A, because I know people hate it, and B, because how does that help you tomorrow? On the trust issue and likability issue, maybe, but not with I need you to know the plays. I need you to be stretched out, know the playbook, have paint under your eyes, because we got game tomorrow, or like later today. So that's my thoughts on that. Hey, can we get into Coach's Corner? This is where I started geeking out, where I was like, I gotta go find my friend Rustin. This is gonna be so much fun. But the beginning part is the setup. But Coach's Corner is something I've started to do more and more when I'm on site. And I mostly present or facilitate in the round or in a horseshoe. So picture that. Well, I work with really smart people that know their topic, and they want input from me. So I bring all my experience, and they bring their subject matter expertise, and we Coach's Corner in a high energy way for me to engage the group, for them to ask me questions, for us to really settle into meaningful next level management and executive conversation. And I push on them as we go, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
Let's do a version of Coach's Corner with Nick Warner between the two of us. You down for that?
It's your show, boss.
All right, I appreciate that. It's always your show, but okay, we'll say it's my show. Team sport. Now picture there could be 15 people in the room, or I haven't done this with more than 40, but I'm starting to think it would work anyways. And where I put a concept out there, I might speak on it first, or they might speak on it first. In this case, I'm going to speak on it, and then I want to hear your thoughts. Team sport versus, I hardly ever swear at work. I'm not going to swear here, just fill in the blanks. Team sport versus MFMFer. Me first, MFer. Team sport, like, I can't say enough ways. It's my number one thing. I'm a team sport guy. 100%.
Yeah.
100% team sport guy. So I am hunting for MFMFers. Me first, MFer is my organization, especially my leadership team. It ain't happening on my watch. You're going to have to figure that out, or you got to go, one of the two. Team sport versus MFMFer. Chief Banks.
I'm going to go, can I go 80-20? And here's why I say that.
You can go however you want.
Something that I was intentional, and my wife and I would talk about when we were raising our kids, is I actually really like a little bit of a balance in there. And I'm not saying MFer, but I'm saying an individual sport. So I'll say team sport versus individual sport. And what I saw was a mix. The team sport is essential, is getting them to operate on a team, understand a common goal, work together, backfill each other, help each other out, fill voids. It is so important. But in our household, wrestling was a big part of our my kids' upbringing as well, because I really enjoyed when they would go onto the mat and their success was really on their shoulders. It wasn't about the coach, it wasn't about the team, the ref, the someone wasn't passing the ball. None of that matters. In individual sports, you show up and your success is simply kind of predicated based off your preparation and your hard work and how well you show up. Now, in the professional world, you can't have just that. You got to also have the team sport. But I'm going to go 80-20. Is that all right?
Yeah, it's great. So 80% team, 20% individual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made it absolute. You're creating a blend. I like that conversation. All right, let's get back to this thing where like I can't have conflicts in my conference room where we kind of have to get along. I've heard it said you have to leave your beef at the door. I can't have any conflicts in my conference room, I've heard. I want to question that. Is it a popularity contest? That's my title here for Coach's Corner. Is it a popularity contest? I'm starting to really evolve my thought on that. I really want my team to get along. It might not be the best goal. I think I prefer healthy tension and some friction points. If we can have friction and tension while still assuming good intent, then I think we can get the best result. Thoughts?
Yeah. Mhm. I like that. I like the concept of, and it really gets back to your Nick notes, right? Where people feel comfortable or are more likely to bring up competing opinions, and that's what you want. I have a rule. My expectation is that that exists. However, you're respectful, you're professional. I personally don't like drama. I tell my team it's part of my written expectations. I say, look, if you're a supervisor if you're in a position of leadership and there's someone that you have a personality conflict with, my expectation is that you work very intentionally to fix it. Not because it's a popularity contest, not because you need to be best friends or drinking buddies or anything else with everyone here, but my expectation is that you go out and you solve problems at the lowest level possible. And my experience is when those personality conflicts exist, that they're more likely to go up the chain of command and then have to have a decision made to go back down, where I want supervisor to supervisor or manager to manager to work things out and not even have to go up the chain of command. But it can't come at the cost of groupthink. It can't come at the cost of these relationships where we just agree with everyone in a meeting. And so striking that balance is what I look for in my organization and what is written in my expectations that we go over annually. And then I try to reaffirm throughout the year, which is professional, respectful dialogue back and forth amongst the leadership group, and personality conflicts aren't acceptable.
Yeah, assuming good intent is embedded in what you said. Like we can have respectful. I prefer to have respectful, even pointed disagreements. But it's when we pierce good intent. This is where I hear things like this, and normally they're grown people. These are not like kids, 23-year-olds being told like, no, don't do that. That's not what this is. This is like 40 and 50-something-year-old professionals at the top of their game, and they're being told when it goes poorly. And this is where I'm like, hold on, I'm throwing a flag. That's unsportsmanlike conduct. We got to talk about that. Is what do you guys even do over there? Like you're taking money off my family's table. Do you guys even like? I'm like, hold on a second. Again, not to be flippant. My wife doesn't like when I say this, but it reaches people and I freaking mean it. So I'm going to say it anyway. Sorry, Katie. Are they stupid? No. Are they bad people? No. Are they disloyal? No. Well, then why are you assuming bad intent? Because you disagree. So I think if we can assume good intent, it really raises the bar on how we can talk in in those conference rooms. I called one of my former partners who, one of the people who bought my previous business. And I said to him, this is like 3 months ago, Rustin. I called him and I go, hey, Corey, I always tell people, and sometimes I even say into a microphone how we had a healthy office and I ran a healthy office and we never had trust issues. I'm like, am I making that up or is that actually true? And he thought for a while and he's like, we used to fight a lot in that conference room, but trust issues? No. I never thought anybody was like trying to take my first chair, or we didn't really work on commission, but obviously if you do more work, there's like some stipend in there, and nobody was like after my client or no, I had never had trusted. We never had that, but we had a lot of arguments. I was like, perfect. You said striking the balance. I like that a lot. I'm anti-absolutist. I'm anti, that's wrong. Although some things can be wrong, or like know-it-alls comes with absolutist. But then you've said things that appealed me back from absolute, like absolute team sport versus MFMFer. And you're like, how about if we strike a balance, Nick? So that kind of pulls me back to the middle too, and hearing how you're thinking about it.
Well, I think
Why are you laughing at me?
that's what you and I do best, bud. And the only other thing I'll add on to what you're talking about there is, I think sometimes when the relationships are healthy, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree, but when the relationships are healthy in an organization and something comes up, you immediately look at it through a positive lens or a negative lens, right? So and so did this. If I have a good relationship with them, you're going to go, oh, well, there's probably a reason that. Or you're going to immediately, you're going to immediately look at it and assume the worst, kind of what you were talking about. And that's another reason for me where I want folks to get to know each other, it's not about a popularity contest or being best friends, but having a relationship so you don't automatically assume the worst, I think is helpful, because human nature oftentimes is, if we're being honest, right? If you don't have a very high opinion of someone and you hear a rumor, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. And that's not what you want in an organization.
What about competition in the leadership group? There's a lot of competition. It doesn't matter if you're private sector or public sector. Once you get to the leadership team group, which is generally where I'm working, not always, but generally where I'm working, you got a bunch of motivated people, not all of whom have their eyes on the number one chair, but a number of them do, or they want some place to move up. I have mixed feelings about competition. I think it's good, but I think it's incumbent upon the leader to deconflict for it. Like, here's an example: is the leader staying past when, for example, other people might be ready for the job. That was true for me. I happened to make a move, but I've been thinking a lot about this. I talk to people all the time that are going to be staying longer than might be perfect for the people around them, but they've earned the job, they got the job, they're doing a great job of the job. And I think clear is kind. So like deconflicting that, or letting somebody know what the real situation is. There is competition here. There are not enough seats here. There is a test coming up, or there is a promotion coming up. And please understand, I want you and your family to stay here, but if not, then I will be your biggest cheerleader if it works out one way versus the other. So I'm just curious on your thoughts about competition in the leadership group. Is it a good or bad thing?
That's a hard one. I think it is healthy. Hopefully, when it comes to the leadership team, you have people that are wanting to promote for the right reasons. And when they're promoting for the right reasons, and you as the director or the CEO have given clear expectations on what you're looking for. The way I work with my team is I break out what I want at the attributes at each rank, basically. And so if a captain is where you want to land, here's kind of the playbook. Here are the things that you need to be thinking of: lieutenant, sergeant, the whole way through. And so it's really important for me that people understand what I'm looking for in those roles, and then I'm working with them intentionally in order to help them achieve that. And every promotional process, I usually make one person happy and I disappoint 4 or 5, but I bring them back in immediately after the process, and I sit them down and I go, hey, and we talk about it and we establish a playbook. And I think as long as the leader of the organization is showing up in an authentic way, they're promoting the right people, the people that kind of reaffirm what the expectations that they put out. There's no curveballs there. You're not promoting a close friend, or if you're promoting people for the right reasons and everyone looks and goes, yeah, I get that one. I think it gives the process some authenticity and some value. And then people, they're never going to be happy when they're not selected, but as long as they can see why and they've been given a pathway forward for the next round, I think that's the best we can do.
Yeah, sometimes there's not a pathway forward, and that's where I say clear is kind. Let's explain the why. Let's be transparent for them and their families. They've earned the right. Let's talk about emerging leaders a little bit. I'm going to ask you, do you see emerging leaders developing their style right in front of your face? I love working with emerging leaders, especially as they start to define what makes them uniquely them as a leader. I love listening to the things that drive them crazy, the things they love that shape them as leaders. Like, for example, tolerance for tardiness. Their boss or people around them having no interest in others. Brilliant jerks. Are they a brilliant jerk? How do they feel about brilliant jerks? You're complaining to me that your boss won't explain the why. Like, Nick, why are you smiling? Because you're developing your leadership style. It's not going to work for you.
I hear they go straight to their office and shut the door. Okay, I'm smiling again. That's developing your leadership style. Transactional versus relational. Says, I don't know. My boss asks for help. It's so freaking cool. What type of people does a leader surround themselves with? How do they handle disputes? I'll say that's you developing your style. Your annoyance and your excitement are indications of your leadership style and what does and does not work for you. I try to be a mirror for them and a recorder and observe back to them. I find it really fun to watch. Again, do you see emerging leaders developing their style right in front of your face?
I do. It's interesting. It really is fun to watch. And I think we could probably do an entire another show on the difference between the generations and how, folks are showing up these days compared to 10 years ago, 20 years ago or more. I'm really big on, like we've talked about, on clear expectations. And so I tell people, if you're seeking out leadership roles, performance is important. However, you'll never investigate your way to a promotion here. Character is even more important. And so I need you to understand performance. And for law enforcement, to me, that's everything from tactics to investigational, having a good understanding of advanced investigative techniques, good patrol experience. There's a few things that are absolute musts. But after you get that, what I would call kind of qualifying experience, all the other stuff, all that character-based stuff, that's what really I focus on. And I push that out because I want someone who is an instructor. I want someone who's a trainer. I want someone who's a good partner. I want someone who's looking for voids to fill in the department and step up. The informal leader that people just go to with questions because they trust. And so we package all that up together and I push it out. And when I meet with new employees on day one, I tell them, I go, hey, look, focus on your job right now, get through probation. But if you want to promote in this organization, here are the things that are important to me. Things like the importance of relationships in the department, not because I want you to be best friends, but because we have 100 employees. And so we're too small. I can't just send you to another station because you have a personality conflict. This is your team. And it's my expectation that you're intentional about, building those relationships. So yeah, it's again, a blend, right? Performance with character. But this new group they're really, really talented, really talented.
What you're describing is people over product. I heard this phrase the other day from a local CIO, a CEO that I work with. He runs a major trade organization, and he used this phrase that just stopped me in my tracks, and I played it back to him. He said, we were talking about, like, generally in the sphere of being able to get the big meeting, getting the big phone call returned, and he said very calmly, and I hold him in the highest regard. He said, quote, and I just love I want to see if this lands with you the way it landed with me. I've done the work to ensure the relevance of my voice.
That's interesting. Yes, I love that. If that's true and the organization feels that way, that's pretty powerful, right? That's something where the folks that work they would be able to take pride in their leadership from an experience standpoint. I love that confidence.
Yeah, me too. I've done the work to ensure the relevance of my voice. I go, hey, can you hold on 1 second? I need to grab my Nick Notes folder.
Yeah.
That's going in it. That really speaks to me. And I think that's a level that we should attain as leaders, seek to attain. I've done the work to ensure the relevance of my voice. You mentioned this, and I mentioned this in the 4. James Clear talks about the power of consistency. And one of the things I note about you is the power of consistency. You're not just, I would say it goes with demonstrating good leadership behavior. I'm not just saying it, I'm doing it, and I'm doing it every day. My meetings are crisp. My meetings start on time. I am ready. We will pick up the next meeting on time. We will talk about the action items from the last meeting, discussion, and then action items going forward as an example, but I will wear people down with consistency.
So important. So important. One of the things that I talk about with my leadership team is the thing that I think sets apart good leaders from everyone else is personal discipline. And when you're talking about consistency, that's what I think of, because anyone can show up for their employees or their unit or their team here and there, but to be able to do it consistently as they're dealing with their own things at home and their own responsibilities at work, but to consistently show up for your team is actually really hard. It's hard to do. It's not complicated. It's not complex. And I think we would all agree that it's indicative of a great leader, but it's hard to do because we're all human. And so to have the personal discipline to understand the importance of consistency on how you're showing up with your team is really, really important. And I think that that's something that folks can really kind of put some thought into. And because again, it's not hard. You just have to show the discipline. If it makes sense to meet with your team on a weekly basis, then you should make that happen. That's not hard to do. Set a calendar device.
It seems to be, because I start shaking my head because that's where I see it.
I know.
Right when you just said it, we get something on a trajectory, then the leader stops showing up
Yeah.
or starts showing up late. I'm like, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
We need consistency over time.
True.
Going with that, I see as I get deeper into this coaching career, I'm seeing a lot in organizations that have fleet that start early. And I wasn't really thinking about a police agency, although it's possible it'll apply to a police agency. But I've seen this lack of clean days, weeks, months, and quarters really affect small businesses. I've seen it an HVAC company, a Windows company. I have a technology company that's in the field, so it's high on my radar. So this is where it starts. As an emerging leader tells me, man, my freaking mornings are insane, man. My boss is texting me. It's like, I'm trying to get my kids ready. And the boss is telling me, I'm just sending text to my guys first thing in the morning. Sometimes I don't hear back from them until 7:15. So I start asking questions about, tell me about the end of your days. Tell me about the end of your weeks. Tell me about the starts of your days and the starts of your weeks. Tell me about the ends of your month. Tell me about the end of quarter and the end of year. I want clean ends of days, weeks, months, and quarters and years.
Yeah.
As opposed to getting up and we're haphazard, texting people, calling people. And I mean, you'd be surprised at very high levels of business, the Keystone Cops that starts at 5:45 in the morning.
You know, this is something that, whether it comes back to personal discipline or any number of other leadership traits, composure is important. I personally value that very highly when I work for someone who isn't chaotic. They're not all over the place, bouncing around. They've taken the extra amount of time to prepare and be ready for a meeting, for their day, for their week. Maybe it's just me, but I actually really enjoy working for those people, working for people that no matter what's going on in the world, you look at them and you feel like they have it under control. And that's not always easy to do because, again, we're humans. But being intentional about that, whether it's carving out time on your schedule, I've had to do that where my calendar fills up pretty quickly. And so if there's times where, look, I'm constantly just putting out fires and not having time to look towards the vision and looking how to better the organization. All right, hey, I'm going to block out 2 hours on a Thursday afternoon every week because I need to start making sure that I'm doing the things that I need to do. I need to make sure that all my emails I've returned at the end of every day. I need to make sure that I'm being responsive because that's an expectation that I have for my team. I need to lead by example in that regard. And again, there's nobody that's listening to this that would likely disagree with that. It's personal discipline that allows some of us to be able to do those things. And we go, I have to prioritize that at a high level because I need to get my own quote unquote house in order so that I'm meeting the expectation that I'm giving to everybody else.
Yeah. I hear so busy, insane, which I get. I've been busy. I've been as busy as anybody. I have very little sympathy for, I'm so sorry. I've been so busy. Like you can return your emails. You can be more disciplined.
Yeah.
Plan for it, time block for it, but please have clean ends of day, weeks, months, quarters, and years, because I will come find you if not. It's like being late, or in criminal justice, we have the broken window theory, where it's like you just let that go, or like, somebody smashing a car, where you let it go, and then it turns into other things. It's the same thing in these management principles. It's bad practice, and it will run your organization haphazard, frazzled, and people will roll their eyes at you. What about management by walking around?
Oh, you got to get out of the office. It's essential. It's one of those things that I don't know that people understand the value, people in leadership roles, but your team wants to see you and they want to get updates directly from you and talk to you and hear about what's going on. And I think that anyone in leadership, I get it, calendars fill up quick. And so when that happens, I'll actually, again, block out my time. Hey, hit this briefing or stop in and see dispatch or, whatever it is I need to do. It's important that you get that blocked out on your calendar and you get out there and spend time with the team.
It goes to the power of your voice. You mentioned it earlier in terms of like things you were blurry to or blind to. It's like, hey, chief, you missed a couple of spots. Yeah. And like, they've definitely noticed you're not there. Like, oh, I'm just a guy. Like, does it matter? Like, no, you're the chief. Your voice is important. Your presence is important. And a little caring goes a really long way. Rarely do managers that don't care practice management by walking around, but it also requires a clean start to your day, which is if I have a call at 8 and I'm not getting there at 7:45 and trying to do management by walking around, first of all, I'm rude because I'm asking people how they are and then I'm walking away. I'm budgeting time. I'm getting there in time to have a clean start to my day because managing by walking around is very important to me. And managers understand the increasing power of your voice. It goes right to the dinner table. When you say hi and bye, they notice even like a coach when you were a kid. I'm really big on managing by walking around. The skill set matters, but so too in leadership does your voice and your presence. As you said, Chief Banks, matters a lot.
Yeah.
Switching gears a little bit in the fourth quarter, how do you think about a 23-year-old in your agency? Can you learn from him or her? And can you give me an example or two where a younger person served you well or surprised you?
Certainly. We're a department that hires primarily lateral officers. That's kind of been our model. And so after someone does the job 5-7 years, something like that, we're able to bring them over to Rocklin PD and we get that experience.
Lateral meaning they're coming from another agency, correct?
Yeah. But since I've been here over the last 5 years, we've been really mixing in some younger trainees, and it's fun to watch. You have the ability to see that excitement. Not that it goes away later in life, but right out of the gate, you get to see this excitement, this desire to serve. And it's, we have really high standards. There's a lot to learn. It's a hard job, but it's really fun to watch them progress, to surround them with good leadership and mentorship that has good experience. And I've really enjoyed being able to bring on and send. We usually do a couple every year, and we send them to the academy and then bring them into our field training program. But we've been really successful with that because just being able to pour into them and get in return a level of excitement to go out there and safeguard this community, that's really fun to watch.
One of the reasons this question made my Nick Notes list is, I'm big on diversity, especially age and experience diversity. And then as a leader, poke at that. Cause like you said earlier, you only know what you know and you don't know what you don't know. My 22-year-old daughter, who just recently graduated University of Tennessee, my daughter Alex, she just got this killer job. It's not a super high paying job yet, but it's a great first job. And one of the things they told her at this local public affairs firm she works with is, hey, Alex, you're 22 and we're not. You just graduated college and we didn't. You use social media in a way that we don't. If you see something, will you say something? Because we really want your opinion. And she came home the first week or so and told me that. And I was thinking, I don't know the leaders of the company that well, but they made a friend in me. That is so freaking smart to say that to somebody at that age, because they do. They have, just like as a coach, I have fresh eyes and ears on your organization. So too does a 22 and 23-year-old, mine it a little bit. Ask a question here or there.
No, it's really true. And it's social media for sure, but really technology in general, the way that, our industry's moving, we're so much more effective today than we've been in years and decades past. And it's because some of the technology, the smart technology we've been able to implement as an industry. It takes all of us that have been doing this for a while, some time to figure out and understand how to navigate a new software platform or a new app. They come out of the gate just immediately understanding it, wanting to further it. So technology for sure with this new generation is something that they just get. It's innate in them. But on top of that, understanding how to communicate with our residents and our community through social media, making fun video stuff that 20 years ago in our profession would never have happened. They come to me with some ideas, and my social media team I love, because it's another group that I have to pull back the reins on a little bit because I'm not maybe as comfortable as they are with everything going out. But that's what I want to do. I always want to be there to pull back the reins. But they're coming up with these ideas, these fun videos, these trend, stuff that's happening on how we can highlight our organization to the community in a really positive way. And I'm really appreciative for it.
Yeah, that's great. Now we're in the bottom of the night. I want to make sure, because your staff's going to give me the hook and I want to get out in front of that. But just one last topic before we close. And now I'm geeking out worse. This isn't making it worse. This did not scratch my itch. This made it worse. We need more time. I want to do more of this with you. Smart networking.
Yeah.
So this is always on my radar, because a lot of times I'm coaching and teaching individuals on one-on-one about how to network for this level you're at. But it came to me a different way recently when a emerging leader I've been working with for about 6 years said, right now I'm not that busy. I'm kind of in between projects and I don't really know what to do. I don't want to get out of the flow. I know there's more stuff coming my way. What do you think? And I said, let's get after some smart networking. You have downtime. You don't know enough. Can you tag along and train in advance of the need? You need insight into other areas. Somebody potentially caught your attention. Maybe go get a cup of coffee with them.
Yeah.
I might want to be like him or her. And then also Matt Cade. I don't know if you know Matt Cade. He ran corrections for a couple different governors, and he was head of the counties association, and he's a mentor of mine. He talked about really difficult labor leaders that he'd work with. And I'm like, how do you deal with that? He goes, bacon and eggs. It's really hard to like hate somebody or have a terrible relationship when you're breaking bread with them and having bacon and eggs. So
It's true.
I am really big on smart networking,
Yeah.
and I don't think people really know how to do it. I'd love to get your thoughts in closing on that topic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's something that I've been really fortunate with. I've kind of been able to create relationships and have some really forward-thinking leaders in the industry kind of help mentor me, but I've been very intentional. There's folks where we'll go to an annual conference and I'm using that in between time to go, hey, can I buy you lunch? Just like we were talking about. There's those folks that you can see in your industry that are just think a little bit different and are doing the things, and they go, that's a department that's squared away, and you got to just take the initiative and reach out to them. If that's not an option, there's professional organizations. I got on with Cal Chiefs, I guess last year or the year before, and for that same reason, it was I feel good about this region, my police department. I need to make sure that I'm at the tip of the spear statewide. And so I reached out, and I need to surround myself with some of the forward thinkers statewide in our industry. And so don't rush into that for sure. It's not something, you don't want to create a dynamic where you're always gone from your organization, but being thoughtful and picking one of those or two of those where you're surrounding yourself, with, really smart and forward thinking people in your industry pays in dividends.
Yeah, well said. A mentor of mine somebody I look up to who ended up bringing me onto their agency. I said, you're pretty squared away. Why are you bringing me in? He said, I want fresh, informed eyes and ears on my situation. I was like, wow, that's really freaking cool. I'm in.
Yeah.
This has been really fun, Chief Banks. The hour flew by. For all of you who are listening, I hope you'll continue to send me your comments on these Nick Notes episodes. When you tell me what you want to know about and get better at, I can be more precise in how we approach this hour together. Special thank you again to Chief Rustin Banks for his insights and for allowing me to get to know him and for us to learn from him. On behalf of our producer, Riley Byrne, and our awesome team at Podgy Podcast, thank you so much for joining us, and see you next month on Together at the Top.
Thank you so much for your time. Together at the Top thrives off listeners like you. To stay connected, follow our socials in the show notes and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. We will be releasing our show on the last Tuesday of every month. See you next time. At Nick Warner Consulting, we exist to coach and consult motivated professionals. I meet with you on Zoom in focused 90-minute sessions, working toward your goals and developing next-level business skill sets. My job is to add value to your organization and your career. To learn more, visit www.nickwarnerconsulting.com or call me directly at 916-765-3576.